To many, Medal of Honor was the first shooter that truly made you feel like you were in a real war. To others, that torch was carried by Call of Duty or Battlefield. But buried beneath those giant franchises was a game that some players still talk about in awe. A game simply called Black. Black burst onto the scene in 2006. And you see, back then, every shooter needed something to stand out. For Black, that something was atmosphere and an unforgettable score. Criterion Games pushed the PlayStation 2 and Xbox to their absolute limits. The graphics were ahead of their time, the destruction was groundbreaking, and the sound design was unlike anything else. Every shot you fired felt powerful. Walls shattered, glass exploded, and smoke filled the air. The guns in Black weren't just tools, they were the stars of the show. Every weapon had its own weight, sound, and personality. The M16 barked with precision, the AK-47 rattled with that rough, raw recoil, and the SPAS-12 shotgun hit like a thunderclap in a hallway. Even the pistols had bite. The way the shells ejected, the smoke that lingered after every shot, it all felt tangible. Reloading wasn't just a quick animation either. It was a moment. You could feel the mag click into place, hear that sharp metallic snap, and smell the cordite in the air. Criterion made sure every trigger pull felt like a cinematic event. Guns echoed differently depending on where you fired them, in open fields, inside bunkers, or down narrow corridors. The RPGs and snipers in Black were downright terrifying. To this day I still get chills thinking about that sound. The sudden whoosh of an RPG being fired at you, forcing you to scramble for cover while trying to spot where it came from. Usually some guy hidden a few floors up, waiting for you to peek. And those snipers, especially on that cemetery level, you had to dodge like your life depended on it, because it really did. One wrong step in that red scope glint meant game over. Then there were the masked shotgun enemies, the ones that would sprint towards you and blast half your health bar away with a single shot. They were relentless. Black wasn't a mindless run and gun shooter. Far from it. It demanded precision and strategy. Every enemy type had its own weak points, and you had to adapt fast. Your health didn't regenerate, so if you got caught out in the open, you couldn't just hide and heal. You had to hunt down health kits, manage your ammo, and think 2 steps ahead. Some missions would throw enemies at you in waves, testing not only your aim, but your patience and control. The stealth missions, for example, required stealth for a reason. You couldn't just go in guns blazing. One wrong move, one careless squeeze of the trigger, and it could all be over in seconds. These levels forced you to slow down, to plan every shot, and to rely on timing rather than brute force. Something that made Black stand out even more in an era obsessed with non-stop action. Black was the kind of game that turned boys into men. And that soundtrack, man, that orchestral score made every firefight feel like the climax of a war movie. Sure, Black didn't have a deep emotional story, but it didn't need one. It made up for it with pure adrenaline-filled gameplay, realistic reload animations, distinct weapon sounds, and environments that literally reacted to your every move. With all that, Criterion crafted an experience that burned itself into players' memories. A game you didn't just play, you felt. And those missions, man, who here remembers Treneska Border Crossing, that foggy forest ambush? Or the chaos at Graznei Bridge? Each level felt cinematic, handcrafted, and unforgettable. Black might have been a one-off, but for those who played it, it was lightning in a bottle. This wasn't just not a shooter, it was a statement. Even the clank it made when you headshotted enemies had an identity of its own. Black had a blueprint that, even today, puts a lot of shooters to shame. It didn't have multiplayer, but what it lacked in online play, it made up for in replayability. Once you beat the game, you unlocked the silver weapons, guns with infinite ammo, and from that point on, chaos was guaranteed. The story follows Jack Keller, a CIA Black Ops operative. The game begins with him being interrogated, recounting the missions he carried out against a terrorist arms smuggling network known as the Seventh Wave. Through each mission, he describes his involvement in stopping their operations, from war-torn urban zones to foggy forests and secret facilities. Each mission came with main objectives and optional side tasks, like collecting hidden pieces of intel scattered throughout the levels. And while the story itself wasn't particularly strong in structure, it was told well enough. The cutscenes between missions gave it that cinematic edge, making you feel like you were part of a movie. The story might have been simple, but it gave context to the mayhem, just enough to keep the action flowing. In this day and age when games are mostly made to be cash grabs with live service in mind, Black still shows how a game can be kept simple and yet entertaining. And unfortunately, it's something that's become the norm today. It's a shame that a game had no follow-up, as it was a masterpiece that made you feel like a proper soldier, taking out enemies and wrecking the environment. Black might be a shooter for a bygone era, but it's today the memorable game that broke ground amidst a scene dominated by COD and Battlefield. Let me know in the comments if you ever played Black and drop your favorite thing about the game. Which mission stuck with you the most? Anyways guys, thanks for hanging out with me, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more. As usual, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.